Hello and welcome. This is the map that we were shown in Tinto Talks number 3. From it, we're able to determine the country outlines, and from the country outlines, we're able to determine the date in which Johan eventually just admitted that we're starting on the 1st of April, 1337. But now, because the map is known, because the map is basically a solved puzzle, he just went ahead and showed us the whole damn thing. That's crazy. So we have, at the start of Tinto Talks number 5, a map of the Anatolian subcontinent. We have a map of a bit of the Balkans. And we have a little bit of an idea, perhaps, about certain elements of the game from this. Because, oh no, this is not just a map that we already know. No, there is more to it than that. I would like to direct your attention to Epirus. If you don't know where Epirus is, it's this little country right here. This little country is shaded in an colour very reminiscent to the Roman Byzantine Empire. In this time period, Epirus would be considered, by Paradox game standards, to be a vassal of the Byzantine Empire. So what this means is, almost certainly, that vassals get shaded in a lighter colour of your primary colour of your nation. Which I think, personally, pretty damn good. Can we extrapolate any other vassalship relationships from this? Not really. I do not believe that the Karasids and the Ottomans share that kind of relationship, even though they have a similar colour. I don't believe that's the case. Nor do I think Bulgaria is in any sort of vassalship relationship. So I do in fact believe that the only vassal relationship here is the Byzantines and Epirus. But hey, that is a little bit of information we can glean from the very start of Tinto Talks number 5, and without further ado, let's get into that. Number 5, from the 27th of March, 2024. Welcome to the 5th Tinto Talks, where we talk about the design for our upcoming top-secret game with the codename Project Caesar, and we have also new artwork. Oh my god, this is way larger than I thought it was going to be. I like artwork. It's nice. I feel like this is either a work in progress, because it seems like one of those kind of images that you have, that gets refined over time. The lines will get more detailed, the backgrounds will get a little bit more detailed, or this could just be the style. And honestly, I'm fine either way. Yeah, a bit of Frenchness going on here. Cool. The state is me. Oh, you meant estate. Sorry, not me. Yes, we're going to be talking about estates today. It's one of the core systems of the game, which is very funny, because very early on in the Tinto Talks lifestyle, after Tinto Talks number 1, we had a relatively active thread on the forums where somebody was asking for estates to be like the central concept of the game. And, well, I don't believe Johan replied to that message. It does, in fact, seem that the guy was maybe not right in all of his intricate assessments of what the game should be. He was right that the estates should be a core system of the game, and, here we are with it being, a core system of the game. First of all, 4 estates in Project Caesar, which mostly map 1-to-1 with social class: nobility, clergy, burghers, and commoners. Yo, have they renamed peasants to commoners? That's so better. That's so much better. Commoners, way better than peasants. Because obviously in the last dev diary, on the last Tinto Talks, we were told that, the social classes, and one of them was commoners. Was it the last one, or was it number 3? I don't recall. But anyway, we were told that it was peasants, and a lot of people were like, yeah, it doesn't really map 1-to-1 with, a lot of things. Commoners, such a better name. Very happy with that. There's also the crown, which represents the state itself. I wonder, are we going to get more estates than this, right? Okay, we have 4 major estates: nobles, clergy, burghers, is what we already have in EU4. Commoners is obviously a new one, but EU4 had special estates if you had special conditions. There was a lot of special estates in, for example, India with the Raj stuff. If you were a steppe horde, you had the hordes estate. If you were tribal, you had the tribal estate and you lost access to these. So could there be more estates on top of these if you fulfill some of those conditions? Who knows? There's also the crown, very nice. That's basically crown land, but having it be called an estate and maybe be in an estate where you can do stuff might be nice. Each estate gains power based on the amount of population belonging to the state, which is also modifiable by local attributes where the population is. Where some nobles may have very high power in certain area, or whether a specific city has entrenched burgher rights there. This very, very much reminds me of MEIOU Taxes. Honestly, like a lot. Individual provinces being more mapped towards various estates was a really big thing in that mod. And obviously you really wanted your high production, high value cities to be under the burghers, whereas the nobility were much more comfortable in the like farming land. But yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. This is the estates part of the government view, where you can see the power, current satisfaction, and the equilibrium it's trending towards, and what the privileges it currently has. So let's have a look at this and see if we can determine anything. Okay, so we got the equilibrium it's trending towards, what it currently is, their happiness. These would be the individual estates. Honestly, it's kind of similar to what we currently have in EU4. They have an equilibrium, they have individual privileges. There's a button here to add another privilege. You can't give privileges to the crown. That all makes sense. I imagine some of these icons are work in progress, but that's normal, I guess. So, let's zoom back out again so we can see the whole ass thing. I think that's good. Every 1,000 nobles gives plus 50 estate power to this estate, while 1,000 peasants merely gives 0.05 estate power as default. These are then modified locally in every location as mentioned above, and then in the entire country by laws. Laws are a new thing, although we did hear a little bit about it already. Reforms, and most notably the privileges that you give in the estate. Total power of all 4 estates and the crown together add up to 100, which is the effective power they have. Okay. Depending on your crown power, you can get a scaling penalty or scaling bonus. Aspects like the cost of revoking estate privileges, the cost of changing policies and laws, and the efficiency of the cabinet, the expected cost of the court, and other things. If your crown power is weak, you need to have the estates really satisfied, or you'll not get much out of any parliament you try to call. Okay, so it's very similar to EU4 in the way that, you know, gotta keep the estates happy, gotta either keep your crown land high so that they're not very powerful, or if they are very powerful with their influence, then keep them happy so they don't rebel, kind of do that. But also, with the introduction of a parliament, which is sort of like the called diet system, it's much closer to that than it is to parliaments in EU4. So with the introduction of that, then it does act a little bit differently. If the satisfaction is below 25%, the estate will not provide any levies. Levies. This is, I believe, the first absolute confirmation that we're going to get a levy system. Because, of course, in EU4, we don't have anything of the sort. We have basically everyone has a standing army no matter what country you are in the world. MEIOU Taxes did something a little bit similar to this, where every estate would provide you with some levies at a cost of, I believe it was, I think the cost happened at the end of a war when the levies returned to the estate, and depending on how many levies returned to the estate, affected their opinion. So if you didn't lose very many troops at all, the estate would be totally happy with you. If you lost all of the troops, they would have a big penalty to their happiness. But yeah, levies, very, very happy to see that as a thing. More importantly, the estate satisfaction also impacts the satisfaction of the pops that belong to that estate, possibly creating rebel factions or even civil wars. Nice. I wonder what kind of civil war we will experience. Will we, for example, see the Imperator style, where a civil war will create a new tag that you have to fight, or will we see the EU4 style, where a civil war will merely be a whole bunch of rebels? We've yet to see. So, nobility impacts your prestige gain and your counter-espionage. The clergy impacts your research speed, okay, and your diplomatic reputation. Burghers impact your merchant power and the production efficiency, and the commoners impact your food production. Okay, this is more confirmation of things. This game will have a food system, which also sort of implies that this game will have a supply system for armies, potentially. This is mainly me extrapolating from Imperator Rome, where obviously that's the only game that I think we've had so far where there has been a food system, and for the most part, with a little bit of minor tweaking, hopefully, it works really well. It could be tweaked, like I said. It could be made better. If the game hadn't been abandoned, then maybe it would have. But yeah, food production is something I'm very excited to see. This here, yeah, I'm happy with that, of course. So what impacts the satisfaction equilibrium of an estate? The privilege they get, the current stability, some reforms may impact them, some laws may, how you tax them, and much more. How you tax them is more inklings of mechanics that we're going to see. Are we potentially going to see individual tax sliders like Victoria 2? So we, tax the nobles. Hashtag tax the rich at 90%, but the commoners, they have no money, so we tax them at 1%. So obviously, that's not going to get you that much money because there's a lot more of these guys. But is that something that we can potentially do? Will we have sliders for taxes? And I'm basing this entire theory crafting literally on like 4 words. And much more. Some examples include clergy being happier with higher religious unity, of course, or burghers liking having more market centres in your country. Is this something that you will be able to affect? Can I build market centres? Or are they going to be static placements on the map like in EU4? I hope the former. I hope that if I build up a city to be, empowered by the burghers, if I build this city up to be incredibly mercantile, then it will become a market centre in my country. That's what I hope. So, estate privileges. Maybe feel forced to grant privileges to estates to be able to tax them more, and you may be forced to grant privileges to get their support in Parliament. All privileges impact the power of the estate, and many also increase their satisfaction equilibrium. They all have some impact on gameplay fitting the privilege, and often they impact societal value of the country. What is a societal value? I imagine that would be something that we've seen in the previous Dev Diary, where it's like autocracy versus plutocracy, that kind of thing. Is that what is referred to as a societal value here? So here is a privilege: free mobility for peasants. Brings up the happiness of the commoners. I guess it's not renamed commoners here yet, potentially. Or maybe it's just localized and it's peasants somewhere and commoners elsewhere. That might be the case also. 20, I imagine this is the estate's power, or the estate's influence, let's say. And this is a privilege, or is this a law, actually? Because it's ticking up, and I imagine when this gets to 100, then this law has been passed. But it's under estate privileges, so maybe it's not. I'm not sure. Maybe if somebody in the comments has a better idea, or if they have an inkling as to what this is, because I've not played EU3, and this system seems to be taken somewhat from EU3. So if people want to let me know in the comments, that would be super helpful. I do read them all, of course. There are many different privileges and many unique ones depending on where and what type of country you play. I like that. We mentioned taxes before, and while this is not the dev diary where we'll go into details about the economic system, it's important to mention that the estates of a country have wealth. Okay. I know that there is at least one MEIOU Taxes developer working at Paradox Tinto. I believe his name is Alderon, and what Alderon had ended up doing was researching the populations of the entire world for, I think, it was in the 1450s or 1350s, probably 1350s, because obviously that's when MEIOU Taxes starts. But the fact that he's working on EU5, let's be honest, is like a really good sign, and it looks like maybe some of the ideas of MEIOU Taxes have been used as a great influence for EU5, which is honestly a little bit of a fever dream. This is kind of exactly what I wanted. In my mind's eye, when I was thinking of what should EU5 be, a lot of my ideas are basically MEIOU Taxes, but made at base game level, so it's not full of jank. It seems like I'm getting this. Also, I don't know why my page just changed. It seems like we're getting exactly what I wanted. I could not be happier. That's fantastic. So, yeah, estates have wealth that's increased by the amount of money that you have not taken from them in taxes. Rich estates will use their wealth on many things, primarily to invest into things that benefit them. Also things that will benefit the country. Okay, alright. Are we saying here that the estates can construct buildings, perhaps? If the Burgers estate is very, very wealthy, will they build a marketplace or a workshop, a production center, a dock, these kind of things? Will the estates build things? I really hope the answer is yes, because having a world that, or having a country that will evolve over time without the player needing to press something. Obviously, the player can press things and build themselves, but having the world, having your country evolve hands off is something I also really, really want. It makes it feel less like you are the absolute controller over every aspect of your country, and more like your country is actually a living place that you just happen to rule as, well, spirit of the nation, not ruling as the ruler, but that to me is very exciting. So, next week we'll talk about new concepts that are rather new to the game that have not been present in previous games. Fucking yes. As we'll talk about proximity. Oh my gosh, it is MEIOU Taxes. It just is. This is MEIOU. Control and maritime presence, all concepts that need to be talked about in detail before we go into the economy system. Okay, for a little bit of context here. Proximity, right, existed in MEIOU Taxes. All right, there they called it communication efficiency, where effectively the further away from your capital your provinces were, the more autonomy they would have, because the amount of time it would take to get orders out from your capital to these areas would take longer. And you could change this communication efficiency, make it more efficient, and make it take less time for those communications to go there by things like upgrading roads, upgrading docks if the travel was via the sea, all of that kind of thing. Higher level cities, basically. More development. That's a dirty word now, but yeah, more developed areas would have increased communication efficiency. Is proximity the same thing? Because if it is, oh my god, EU5 is MEIOU 2. That's fantastic. Control, honestly, could mean so many things. I can't really place an idea on it yet. It literally could just be autonomy, but if it was just autonomy, it would not be, something not present in previous games. Maritime presence, also super exciting to talk about, because we have a whole new, naval system. If we look at here, sea zones are completely changed. If we go back to like one of the earlier dev diaries where we saw the sea lanes over the oceans, that's that's something that I'm very excited to learn about. Okay, this dev diary, every single one of these Tinto talks has been like, so, Lambert, are you hyped? How about you just increase that hype? Just a bit more. Every single one is ramping on top of the other with more things to make me specifically super excited, and I am so here for it. Let's see, I'm going to refresh and see if he's made any comments yet. He hasn't. I also have on my hotbar this button here, which literally just brings me to Johan's postings. So I'm keeping an eye on all of the things that he's saying. And I guess one of the more interesting things from the previous week that he's been saying is this one here. Ways to reduce the amount of power creep. And a lot of it is removing the insane amount of stacking modifiers that you can have. It was a lot more special to have, 5% discipline in your national ideas before than it is now, because you can get that 5% discipline from so many areas and just, stack it on high. But yeah, no, we're not going to go into that just right now. But if you, I will leave a link to his postings as well. It's something very handy to have on your hotbar, on your bookmarks, if you want to keep in touch with the game. But I, of course, will also still be consistently covering these Tinto talks. So if you want to follow me, press the subscribe button, like the video, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All those things really do help me out. That would be fantastic. I am going to go and reread this and see if there's anything else I missed. And I'm going to go squee in the corner because I'm very excited. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.